When your girlfriend stops texting back, you think it's a signal she's mad, not that she's engaged to someone else. We'd been together just under a year, 11 months and some change, but it felt longer than that in the best way. Our rhythm was easy. She knew my coffee order. I knew which side of the bed she hated. Sunday mornings were made for lazy playlists and breakfast tacos. And yeah, we had little arguments here and there, but what couple doesn't? Her name was Evelyn, 25, worked as a nurse at this busy hospital downtown. Long shifts, weird hours, never enough sleep, but she somehow always made time for me. Or at least, she used to. Things didn't go bad all at once. They slid, like a song slowly fading out instead of stopping. The first sign was the texting. She'd go hours without replying, which wasn't like her. Then the one-word answers started. The dry lol instead of her usual laugh emojis. The maybe instead of can't wait. At first, I gave her space. I figured it was work stress, burnout. Nurses deal with heavy stuff. Long days, emotionally draining patients, back-to-back shifts. But then she started canceling plans. Our Friday movie nights became, I'm too tired. Sunday brunches turned into, my friend from work needs to talk. And Valentine's Day, she said she had to cover for someone else. I remember telling my best friend Devin one night at the shop while we closed up. She's probably just exhausted, I said, wiping down the espresso machine. Devin raised an eyebrow. Or she's exhausted of you. Wow, thanks, bro. I'm just saying, people don't flake on what they care about. He wasn't wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I hadn't seen Evelyn in person since a quick coffee drop-off the week before. She said she'd make it up to me, but then she went silent again. That Friday, I finally sent a text I'd written and erased 3 times. Be real with me. Are we okay? She didn't respond. Not that night. Not the next morning. Not even by Sunday. Devin asked if I wanted to go out that night to distract myself. I said no. I stayed in. Put my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Told myself if she answered, I'd hear it. She didn't. But Monday, that's when it hit. I was on my lunch break, scrolling through Instagram, trying to ignore the awkward couple at the next table who couldn't stop feeding each other fries. And then I saw it. Evelyn, standing in front of a lake, holding up her hand. A ring on her finger. The caption? One word, forever. I swear, the world stopped spinning for a second. I blinked, closed the app, reopened it. It was still there. She wasn't joking. She wasn't modeling. It wasn't a brand ad or some dumb prank. It was real. My girlfriend, well, apparently my ex, was engaged. To someone else. No warning. No breakup. No, we need to talk. Not even a lie. Just silence. Followed by a diamond. I called Devon instantly. She's engaged, I said, voice shaking. Like full-on ring-on-the-finger engaged. Wait, Evelyn? No, the other girl I've been dating for 11 months. He cursed under his breath. Bro, what the actual... Yeah. What did she say when you asked if you were okay? She didn't. He was quiet for a second. You good? Nope. And I wasn't. I stared at her post again that night, over and over. Read the comments. So happy for you two. Knew it was coming. Power couple vibes. Power couple? She hadn't even powered through a breakup with me. What made it worse was that no one in her comments seemed surprised. Almost like they knew it was coming. Like I was the last to find out. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, phone on my chest, trying to do the mental gymnastics. Had she been seeing someone else this whole time? Was I a placeholder? Had she emotionally checked out weeks ago and just didn't bother telling me? The thought that really crushed me? She didn't even think I deserved a goodbye. The next day, I went to her apartment, not to yell, not to cause a scene. I just wanted to see if she'd say something. Anything. Her car was in the lot. Her lights were on, but she didn't answer the door. I knocked. Twice. Then texted her again. Can we talk? I'm not trying to fight. I just want to understand. Nothing. The door didn't open. The curtains didn't move, so I left. Devin showed up later with 2 gas station burritos and a 6-pack. This won't fix it, he said, but it'll keep you alive until you stop being sad enough to eat real food. I laughed, kind of. Then, cried halfway through the second burrito. He didn't judge, just sat with me on the floor and said, You didn't deserve that, man. That was cold. Do you think she cheated? He shrugged. Does it matter? I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. 2 days later, she finally texted. No apology, no explanation. Just, I didn't mean to hurt you. It just happened fast. It just happened fast. I stared at those 5 words for almost 10 minutes. I wanted to ask who he was, when it started, how long it overlapped, but I didn't, because deep down, I already knew the truth. After Evelyn texted me that vague, gutless line, "I didn't mean to hurt you, it just happened fast," I didn't reply. I couldn't. What do you even say to that? Cool. Thanks for the emotional car crash. Drive safe. I left her on read. Not as payback, genuinely had no words. All I had was this ache in my chest and a head full of questions that didn't come with answers. That day, I went to work like a zombie, pulled espresso shots, smiled at customers, restocked pastries like my body was on autopilot. But every time the bell above the cafe door chimed, I looked up thinking it might be her. She never came. Later that night, I started spiraling. I opened my camera roll and scrolled through every picture we took over the past year. There was one from her birthday dinner last spring, her in this green dress she loved, me in a thrifted blazer that made me look semi-respectable. We were smiling, forehead to forehead. I zoomed in. She looked happy. But now I wasn't sure if that smile was for me or just for the camera. Then I started doing what every hurt person does. I tried to figure out when it all went wrong. The late nights at work, the gym after her shift, the weekend she said she was visiting her cousin but forgot to post any photos, the coworker she mentioned twice, Zane, and then never brought up again. That name hit me like a brick now. Zane. Tall, always smiling, the guy who once brought her coffee during one of my visits to her job. I remember shaking his hand. I remember her saying, "Zane's cool. We're stuck on the same rotation." Rotation, right? I texted Devin again. "Do you remember that Zane guy at the hospital? Tall, fake polite, looks like he owns a yacht? Yeah, I think he's the fiancé. No way. Look at the hand in the photo. He wears a black watch." I sent the screenshot. The angle wasn't perfect, but you could see enough. A man's hand resting lightly on her waist. Black watch, same style, same wrist. She never tagged him, never mentioned him, but there he was, just enough to not be hidden, just enough to not be obvious. Devin called me. "You okay?" "No." "You want to do something petty?" "Kind of." "Too bad, you're better than that." I sighed. It's not even the cheating, Dev. It's that I didn't even matter enough to be told. He was quiet for a second. "She lied, but that doesn't mean you didn't matter. People lie to people they love all the time. It doesn't make it right, but it means you weren't the issue. She was just too weak to be honest." The next morning, I stared at her name in my contacts for a full 5 minutes. I didn't want to call her to yell. I wanted to understand, even if it hurt, so I dialed. Rang once, twice, then voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I was halfway through texting her again when I stopped. Because I knew she'd only give me just enough truth to protect herself. Not enough to give me peace. I deleted our texts, then re-downloaded them from backup an hour later. Healing is messy. That weekend, I decided to drop off her things. She still had one of my sweatshirts, a Polaroid we took at the fair, and a vinyl record we both loved, but that technically belonged to me. I didn't tell her I was coming. I figured she wouldn't answer anyway. I drove to her apartment building, parked across the street, and sat there holding a grocery bag full of shared memories. And just as I was about to get out of the car, I saw them. Evelyn and Zane, coming out of the front entrance, laughing. She looked lighter, like someone who'd made peace with whatever guilt she had, if she ever felt any. He opened the car door for her. She kissed him, on the cheek. I ducked down in my seat like a coward. They drove off. I sat there another 10 minutes before tossing the bag onto her doorstep and leaving. On my way home, I called my mom. I didn't tell her everything, just enough. "She moved on," I said. "She didn't move on, Isaiah. She jumped ship. There's a difference." That night, I opened my laptop and did something I thought I never would. I started writing a letter. Not for her, for me. I wrote down everything I wanted to say but couldn't fit into a text. Everything she deserved to hear but would probably never care about. You could have just told me. I wasn't perfect, but I showed up. You didn't ghost me. You erased me. I didn't send it, just saved it as a draft and let it sit. A couple days later, she finally responded to my original text. "I didn't want to end it like that. I'm sorry. I panicked." "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Because I didn't know how. You managed to say yes to him." She didn't reply after that, and I didn't send anything else. because what was left to say? A week after I saw Evelyn and Zane together outside her building, I stopped hoping for closure. Not because I got any, because I finally understood she wasn't going to give it to me. Not fully, not honestly, not in a way that didn't protect her image of herself. She was gone. Gone from my life, gone from my phone, gone from the version of the future I thought we were building. But the hurt, still there, still sharp, still showing up in the quiet hours when I wasn't expecting it. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I ran into someone who cracked the rest of the truth open, someone I hadn't seen since last summer. Her name was Trina, a nurse who worked on the same floor as Evelyn. She used to swing by the coffee shop with her scrubs half wrinkled and her iced latte order locked in. We weren't close, but she recognized me immediately when I walked into the corner gas station. "Isaiah?" she said, turning away from the mini fridge with a bottle of Gatorade. I paused halfway through grabbing a protein bar. "Hey, Trina, right?" She nodded, then smiled awkwardly. "Wow, I haven't seen you since you and Evelyn." I nodded once. "Yeah." She bit her lip. "That's done, right?" I blinked. "You already knew?" She hesitated, then lowered her voice. "I mean, it wasn't really a secret. I thought you guys had broken up months ago." My stomach turned. "Why?" She shifted on her feet. "Evelyn and Zane were, well, everyone thought they were together. They were always carpooling to shifts, eating lunch together, staying late after. We assumed she ended things with you quietly." She said it like it was normal, like it made sense. I felt like someone had poured cold water over my entire body. "So everyone at the hospital knew?" I asked. Trina looked uncomfortable. "Not like officially, but yeah, people talked. I'm sorry, Isaiah. I just thought you already knew." I nodded, but my jaw was clenched. "Thanks for telling me." She offered a weak smile, then ducked out of the aisle. I stood there, staring at the drinks behind the fridge door, not seeing a single one. I called Devin that night. "I was the last one to know," I said. "What happened?" I ran into one of her coworkers. She said it wasn't a secret. Everyone saw them together. Everyone assumed Evelyn and I were already done. Devin let out a low breath. "That's cold." "I feel stupid, man." "Don't. You weren't stupid. You were loyal." I sat on the couch in silence. "I keep thinking about all those nights she said she was charting patient notes or doing back-to-backs," I muttered. "She was," Devin replied. "She was charting a new relationship." That weekend, I took a short trip to San Antonio to see my sister Natalie. I needed to get out of Austin, even if it was just for 48 hours. Too many memories there. Too many ghosts in every corner of my apartment. She met me at the door with a hug and a bowl of microwaved mac and cheese. "Still the best breakup food," she said, handing it over like a care package. We talked for hours. About Evelyn. About how it ended. About how little I really knew her by the time it was over. Natalie didn't pull punches. "She's a coward," she said bluntly. "She wanted to feel like the good guy while doing the worst thing possible, so she ghosted the hard part." I nodded slowly. "She told me she didn't mean to hurt me." "She did hurt you. She just didn't want to feel like she did." "There's a difference." That line stayed with me. On the second night, I sat on the balcony of her apartment while she put her kids to bed. I stared up at the stars, not because I'm dramatic, but because they felt steady, unchanging, unlike everything else lately. I thought about writing Evelyn again, not to get her back, not even to yell, just to drop the last piece. So I sent her a short message. "Me, there's a bag of your stuff in my closet. Hoodie, record, some photos. Want me to leave it on your porch?" The reply came 5 hours later. "Evelyn, keep it. I don't want anything back. We're in different places now." That was it. No apology, no emotion, not even a thank you. Just another sentence to close the door without a sound. But something about that message set me off in a different way. Not angry, but sharp. So I wrote back one last time. "Me, you should have said goodbye. I would have given it to you. You didn't have to vanish. Evelyn, you should have seen the signs." My hands froze. I stared at those 6 words, reading them again and again. You should have seen the signs. I sat with that for a while, let it twist, let it burn, and then I said out loud to no one but myself, I did. I just didn't want them to be real. 2 months passed, and even though the pain didn't disappear overnight, it changed shape. It stopped feeling like a fresh cut and started feeling like a scar. Still there, still tender, but not bleeding anymore. I started going back to the gym. Not because I wanted a revenge body or to post some cringy transformation photo. I just needed a routine that wasn't tied to her, something that reminded me I still had control over something, anything. I picked up extra shifts at the cafe, started journaling, even signed up for therapy twice a month. Devin called it my healing side quest. I just called it necessary, and surprisingly, I was doing okay. Not great, not glowing, but okay. Then she walked in. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was restocking the pastry display at the shop, half listening to a podcast when the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, expecting some regular. Instead, it was Evelyn. No ring on her finger. No Zane. Just her. Hair pulled back, oversized hoodie, and this unreadable look on her face. I felt my chest lock up. "Hey," she said softly. I didn't move, just stood there, still holding a box of blueberry muffins. "Can we talk?" she asked. The cafe was mostly empty. Just one girl with headphones at the corner table and a dad with a stroller waiting for a to-go order. I gestured toward the side bench near the window. 5 minutes. That's all I've got." She nodded and sat down. I wiped my hands on a towel, walked over, and sat across from her. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then she broke the silence. "I'm not with him anymore," she said. "Zane." I raised an eyebrow. "What happened? Engagement just happened fast again?" She flinched. "I deserved that," she said. I didn't say anything. She looked out the window like she couldn't meet my eyes. It fell apart. Turns out building a relationship on lies doesn't end well. "Shocking," I muttered. She nodded slowly. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything, about what I did to you." I waited, not with hope, just patience, like watching someone unpack a suitcase they never intended to carry this long. "I wasn't fair to you," she continued. I ghosted the hard part because I didn't want to feel like the villain, but I was. I am, and I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. I studied her face. She looked sincere, but I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel anger either, just tired. "I don't need your apology," I said. She blinked. "Oh, I don't mean that in a petty way," I added. "I mean it like I've already done the grieving. I already buried what we had. Your apology won't change that." "I get that," she said quietly. We sat in silence for a few more seconds. The cafe bell rang as the dad with the stroller left. Then I leaned back and looked her dead in the eye. "You didn't just leave me," I said. "You made me question my worth. You made me feel replaceable. Like I was some side quest while you figured yourself out." Evelyn's eyes welled up. She didn't interrupt. "But I've realized something," I continued. "You weren't a mistake. You were a reminder." "A reminder of what?" she asked. "That love without honesty is just performance. And I'm not interested in acting anymore." She nodded slowly. "So this is it? It's been it." She smiled, small and sad. "You're different." "Yeah," I said. "I had to be. You left me no choice." She stood up. "Okay, thank you for talking." I nodded. She walked toward the door, paused, and then said, "Take care of yourself, Isaiah." I gave a half smile. "I already am." And she left. That night, I sat on my porch with a blanket around my shoulders and my journal open. I didn't write much, just one line. She taught me how fast love can vanish. I taught myself how to survive it. You don't always get closure from the person who hurt you. Sometimes you give it to yourself, just by standing tall when they come back and realizing you no longer want what you used to beg for. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?